For most Americans, we either lack time or lack money, or we have time or we have money. We never have both. Think about that. Isn't that the problem? Is you either have the time, but you don't have the money to actually enjoy the time, or you've got the money, but you don't have the time to enjoy the money. And that's what most people face, because all of us, what we want is we want quality of life to be improved for ourselves, our loved ones, and the world around us. And it's like, if I don't have the money, I can't really do that, even if I've got the time. And if I could help you solve this, and you could have the time and the money to be able to then spend your time and your money the way that you want to improve quality of life for yourself, your loved ones, and the world around you, wouldn't that be something you'd want to look into? All right, welcome to Finance Friday. It's good to see you here this evening. If you're tuning in live, this is Jerry Fetta, CEO and founder of Wealth Dynamics, doing a live Finance Friday like I've been doing every Friday for about 5 years now. So I want to introduce myself really quick. If you're not familiar with who I am, if you're not familiar with my content, as I said, I'm Jerry Fetta. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Wealth Dynamics. And I've been in the financial industry since the age of 18. I'm 32 now. I've worked with Dave Ramsey, Grant Cardone, Pamela Yellen, Forbes Finance Council, Inc. 5000 threw an award at us last year and said I was one of the top 100 fastest growing financial firms in the country. And so we've been doing a lot with people for many, many years on helping them build greater financial independence. Now, more important than who I am is my vision, right? I want to share that with you really quickly. My vision is that the majority of wealth is controlled by good people who use that wealth to make the world a better place. Pure and simple, right? So that's a little bit about me. Now, before I dive into this, Finance Friday, I want to talk to you about why I do these training courses every Friday, right? Because if you're watching this right now, you're either very, very interested in financial independence and very, very interested in doing better for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones, or you're crazy because it's a Friday night, or you're just straight up bored, right? But here's the deal. A survey was done by the National Financial Educators Council in 2023, and they do this survey every single year. And the survey measured what was the total cost of the lack of financial training for Americans. Okay, now, I want you to go ahead and think about what that number would be. So think about like lack of financial training. This is basically financial illiteracy. What's the total cost of that? And let's talk about the things that happen when you're financially illiterate, right? You overpay on credit card interest. You get overdraft fees. You overpay on taxes. You lose money on investments. You get taken advantage of with fraud, etc., right? So think about every single American, right? There's 330 million of us, right? And I think of working Americans, it's like 200,000 or 200 million something. But of every single working American, what's the total cost associated with lack of financial training? Okay, think of the number. What was you got the number? Okay, so if your number was 388 billion, you would be correct. $388 billion. That's the total cost of the lack of financial training for Americans in just 2023 alone. Guys, that's like literally, that's 2023, 2022, 2021, that period of 3 years, that's $1 trillion lost to the lack of financial training. This is the number one expense that Americans face. It's greater than anything else. I'm going to Google really quick what's the total cost of healthcare for Americans. Okay, total cost of healthcare for Americans in 2023. All right, what was the total cost? They don't want to give me this number. All right, I'll have to find that. If anyone finds that, drop that in the comments. Let me know. But the purpose of me doing this training is to help you keep your money, right? If you're financially literate, you're financially trained, you're not going to be one of those statistics that's losing money due to lack of financial training. Now, there's two ways to go about that, right? Losing money and missing out on opportunity. Losing money and missing out on opportunity. So if I don't know that a certain opportunity exists, there's a greater chance that I'm going to miss out on it, isn't there? Right? So that's another cost. That's called opportunity cost. You think about right now, where are you having problems with your finances. Next, I don't want to interrupt you too long. I just want to give you a free offer for my book, The Blueprint to Financial Freedom. If you go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo, you can get the book now. I'm going to let you get back to the video, right? Because here's what it comes down to. For most Americans, we either lack time or lack money, or we have time or we have money. We never have both. Think about that. Isn't that the problem? Is you either have the time, but you don't have the money to actually enjoy the time, or you've got the money, but you don't have the time to enjoy the money. And that's what most people face, because all of us, what we want is we want quality of life to be improved for ourselves, our loved ones, and the world around us. And it's like, if I don't have the money, I can't really do that, even if I've got the time. If I've got the money and I don't have the time, I still can't do it. Right? Because it's like I don't have the time to actually take time off because I'm spending the time earning the money to be able to afford these things. Okay, so if you can relate to that, I want you to give me just a mental, raise your hand, let me know you get this, like, heart, whatever it might be, comment below. Right? But this is something that's important to understand. So what I'm going to be doing this evening is I'm going to give you financial training on how to solve this. Right? How do we solve this? And if I could help you solve this and you could have the time and the money to be able to then spend your time and your money the way that you want to improve quality of life for yourself, your loved ones, and the world around you, wouldn't that be something you'd want to look into? Okay, I'm going to give you one final statistic before I jump into what I'm going to train you on tonight from my book, Blueprint to Financial Freedom. And that final statistic is this. This is from the Social Security Administration. Less than 5% of Americans will be financially secure by age 65. Okay, that's from the government agency that basically runs a Ponzi scheme that's designed to give us all financial security and fails to do so. And they're literally telling us they're not doing their job. Wall Street's not doing its job. The banks aren't doing their job. Schools aren't doing their job, because only 5% of Americans are going to be financially secure by age 65. That is a 95% failure rate. Anything that has a 95% failure rate, we would scrap it, throw it away, and stop doing it. Yet we're continually told to do the same things. Oh, pay off the house, put money in the 401k plan, right? Build up the nest egg till you're 65. And we're seeing, okay, good. We know 95% of the time that's not going to work. So you have to ask yourself, why are you still told to do that? Right? And what would you do instead? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go over a couple of things with you tonight. And if you're watching live or watching live or watching the replay, you'll see my screen pop up, right? If you're listening to the podcast, you're going to miss the screen part, but it's okay. I'm going to explain it all to you, right? So here's the problem. Let's call this option one, right? Option one, time or money, not both, right? So you either have time or money, not both. And this is where you serve the 40 to 60 hour per week, 40-year to life sentence, trading your time for money, so that you either have the time but not the money to enjoy it with, or you have the money but you don't have the time to enjoy it with. This is the thing I just talked about. Right? A part of my story, I've told this before, is my mom was my first client. I became a financial advisor at the age of 18, got my licenses. My mom became my first client. Right? And so she turned 60. At age 59 and a half, you're allowed to use all of these different retirement accounts and different things that we're told to do. She turned 60. She had the house sold, paid off and sold. She had money in a retirement plan. She had Social Security. She had the pension. Right? She had everything set the way you're supposed to have when you retire. Age 60, she got diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. Okay, within 6 months, she was no longer around. She'd passed away. Right? And this is the risk, because the number one fear of a retiree is running out of money before you run out of life. Okay, the number one fear of a pre-retiree is not living long enough to enjoy it. So somewhere between, it's totally a counter thing. When you're in retirement, you don't want to live too long. Like, I want to run out of life before money. I don't want to be, 80 years old and I ran out of money when I was 75. So you're betting on, I'm literally shorting my own life. I would rather have less life, more money, that way I don't run out, okay? Now, pre that, before retirement, you're like, well, I don't want to die too soon because I don't get to enjoy it. Okay, do you see how literally the goal is the opposite on each side? It doesn't make any sense. You wonder why people don't get there. You can't have a goal and a problem and they're both competing, and you want the one thing, but you don't want it, but then you want this thing and you don't want it, and they're both fighting each other. Okay, so option number 2, financial independence. Achieve passive income from investments that exceeds giving, expenses, taxes, and savings. So we can live life now and not be obligated to trade time for money, so you can have both, right? So that's what I'm going to talk about this evening. Now, everything I'm going to teach you tonight is from my book, The Blueprint to Financial Freedom. Okay, if you want to get a free copy of that, go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo. I'll put a QR code up at the end as well. But again, that's jerryfetta.com/B2F promo. If you buy it now during the training, you can actually get the ebook, right? And the book is I'm going to get emailed to you. You can open it up, follow along while I do the training here if you're watching the replay. Okay, but what I'm going to teach you today is on page 14, right? Page 14 of the Blueprint to Financial Freedom. So I'm going to read something for you here on this concept, right? So this is, again, from the Blueprint to Financial Freedom, page 14, for those of you that want to follow along, right? So it says, okay, so how do we achieve wealth? Okay, wealth sounds great, right? But it's called the top 1% for a reason. The other 99% didn't make it there. So this isn't necessarily the easy plan. Wealth breaks down into a simple equation. Here it is. Passive income greater than gets. Okay, passive income greater than generosity, expenses, taxes, and savings. Now the book here, it says passive income is income I do not trade my time for, that is generated by assets. So I'd want to have enough of that type of income that all of my bills are paid. I can be generous, I have my expenses covered, I can save, I pay my taxes without having to trade time for money. It must exceed those things. And that is how the wealthy do it. See, so here's what this is breaking down. So what is wealth? I want to define a couple of terms with you first. This word wealth, right? So what is wealth actually? Because if you look in the dictionary, you're going to see a pretty poor definition of wealth, right? Wealth is defined in the dictionary as like an abundance of material resources or having lots of riches. Okay, and when you survey the average person, they're going to tell you things like, oh, I don't want all that, I don't need all of that, that's greedy, that's selfish, money's the root of all evil, money can't buy everything, money can't buy happiness. Here's the problem. There's a definition of wealth that's no longer used. It's taken out of the dictionaries, and it literally meant, wait for it, happiness. Okay, it's an antiquated definition of wealth that's no longer used, and it literally was happiness. Wealth meant happiness. So what are we taught? Money can't buy happiness. But happiness at one point in time was literally the definition of wealth. Okay, there's a wise man that once said you can control a population by controlling the definition of the words that they use. And if the definition of wealth used to be happiness, I want that. Who doesn't want happiness? Ultimately, that's what it comes down to, that quality of life thing for you, your loved ones, the world around you. That's happiness. That's you being happy, your loved ones being happy, the world around you being happy, because that's the true original definition of wealth. Okay, now when you look at the origin of this word wealth, right, it actually breaks down into the origin, it means wellness, which actually came from health. You trace it back further, it meant to wish, right? Now, wish is the origin of the word wealth, and it's also the origin of the word willing. Someone needs to be willing to build wealth. They need to have the wish, right? Who here, show of hands. Okay, I know you're watching the replay, but show of hands, or you're live. Show of hands if you were taught, don't dream too big, right? Be realistic, right? Like don't focus on stuff that's not going to happen. Look at what can actually come true in life. Like you were taught to think small. Don't wish. Essentially, don't wish, when the origin of this word wealth starts with the word wish. If you're not willing to wish, you're not going to build wealth at all, right? Now, what is an equation, right? What is an equation? Because we have this idea that because only 1% of the population is building wealth, it must be this difficult, hard, impossible thing, right? An equation is mathematical. 2 plus 2 is an equation. It equals 4. It's not difficult. It's not hard. It's just if you've got the wrong numbers, or you've got the wrong algebraic formula and you're using the multiply instead of the time, or instead of the plus, or you're trying to divide or subtract instead of add, of course you're going to have trouble. You're putting the wrong numbers into the equation, or you're using the wrong symbols. Okay, that doesn't mean the equation is hard. It means that the individual doing that is misinformed on how to do the equation. Wealth is a simple equation. Okay, it's passive income, PI, greater than, remember in math we learned the greater than, less than, this is the greater than, gets generosity, expenses, taxes, and savings. Okay, now what is passive income? Passive income is an interesting one. Why is it interesting? Because there's not actually such a thing as absolutely passive income. Okay, like it happens on gradient scale. So you have no such thing as just, it's passive totally, right? And so we're taught, like go get passive income, but then it's one of these things that's like, okay, well, you can't actually get it, right? It's kind of like financial freedom. Like it's not an absolute thing, okay? So what you would have is you would have over on this side, you would have less passive. Over on this side, you would have more passive. Right? And if you've got less passive happening, then you're doing what? You're digging ditches, you're trading time at a job, right? You're doing something active. That's the opposite of passive. Okay? So there's this thing out there that we're taught, and here's why this is so hard for people, right? You want more passive, not less passive, but you don't get there through passive. You cannot build passive income through passive income. You build passive income through active income. So in order to get to passive income on the higher side, you need to actually lean into the less passive stuff, the actual thing where you trade your time for money to earn the active income, to then save the active income, to then invest in the assets that give you the passive income. Hey, what's up? Jerry here. I just wanted to give you another reminder. Grab my book, Blueprint to Financial Freedom. It's going to be one of the best books you have ever read on finance. I can promise you that. You're going to love it. It's also a free offer. So if you go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo, you can get that now. Right? So if you've got this disdain where you're like, jobs suck, trading time for money is the worst, bosses are evil, right? All of this kind of stuff, you're going to run into this problem. You're going to run into this exact problem. The thing you need to do to get the passive income that you want is the very thing you hate. Right? So check this out. That's passive income. One of my favorite forms of passive income, by the way, it's mortgage lending. I like being the bank on real estate. It's as hands-off as I can get. I'm not interested in scouring the world for properties or managing or talking to the people. That's a worker's job. That's somebody that's trading their time for money. Someone that doesn't have something better to do with their time. I have better things to do with my time. If I'm going to trade my time for money, it's going to be something that aligns with my purpose. And what I'll tell you is this. Real estate is not my purpose. My purpose is not 4 walls and a roof. That's literally like an object. My purpose in life is not an object. My purpose in life is not life insurance, even though I love the sacred account. Yeah, that's okay, cool. But that's a means to an end. Okay, my purpose in life is to help people, right? And so if I'm going to trade my time for something, it needs to be something that helps people. And if I happen to get paid for doing it, that's awesome. But I want to be in a position where I don't have to. See what I mean? Now, let's talk about this other part, passive income greater than gets, right? Gets is generosity. Okay, generosity. This is the G. Okay, generosity, you're donating money. You actually have that as part of your budget, your financial planning includes, I'm going to give money to causes that I care about. And I'm going to do that on a regular basis. And there's a reason why this one's first. It's not steg, it's not seget, I put gets. Generosity is first. Right? Generosity is first. So generosity, and this comes from the Gospel of Wealth. If you've not read the Gospel of Wealth by Andrew Carnegie, financial book that he wrote, he's America's first billionaire. Him and Johnny Rockefeller competed for wealthiest man in America, back and forth. But what I loved about Andrew Carnegie and what I loved about his book is that he had the philosophy that the wealthy, if you manage to build wealth in this country, and he was a first-generation Scottish immigrant, grew up on dirt floors, right? And he became America's first billionaire, the wealthiest man in the country at that time, okay? He had the philosophy that your responsibility to the world was to improve the world around you. Not to just live lavishly, but to actually improve the world around you. So his legacy is full of libraries and gymnasiums and theaters and colleges and things that benefit the public. Okay? Because he believed that being benevolent and generous was the purpose of wealth. And I believe that too. Right? So if you're thinking about building wealth and you're not thinking about, okay, how am I going to help more than just me and my immediate family? Okay, I'm going to go one step further. How am I going to help more than just me and my immediate family and just my church? Right? I don't want to help people just because they only have the same religious code that I have. Right? I'm not saying don't donate to your church, but I'm saying, okay, good. What about the people who are never going to make it to your church because they don't have water? Right? Or they don't have a roof over their head. Or they live in some third world country where your church isn't there. It doesn't exist. Your religion is maybe illegal to have. And we're not going to help them just because they don't go to our church. Right? So it's bigger than just me and my family and my immediate circle. It's the world around us. And that's something that as a responsibility increases, you're going to do more of that. Right? Expenses. Okay? Passive income needs to exceed your expenses. Your expenses represent your quality of life. You will never hear me say, eat beans and rice, budget yourself to death, cut up your credit cards, live below your means. You're going to hear me say, instead of act your wage, you're going to hear me tell you to grow up. Don't act your wage. Grow up. Make the wage higher. The wage, the expense, that's your quality of life. The way you live, the house you're in, the food you eat, the amount of travel you can do, that's expenses. So if your goal in life is to not spend money, you're actually directly reducing your quality of life. Now, I'm not telling you overextend yourself. You do need to be able to save 40% of your income. I know that's a big number and you can get there, trust me. But you want to increase your means to get there, not reduce them, right? Same thing with taxes. Taxes are part of living in this world, right? You can either have income or you can have no taxes, right? If you have no taxes, you're going to be getting rid of your income. You won't have passive income. You're going to defer everything. You're not going to enjoy your life because you're trying to avoid the tax man. I'm not telling you overpay in taxes, but it's just like with the expenses. If it reduces my quality of life, which one's really that important? Like me living the life I want for my family and for myself and for the world around me, or me being like, I sure screwed the IRS out of some money last year. I didn't do anything I wanted. I didn't travel. I didn't spend time with my family. I didn't donate the way I wanted to. But man, I can tell everyone that the IRS, they didn't get the best of me. That's not wealth. Like that alone is not wealth. And then finally, you've got savings, right? Savings, you should always be striving to save 40% of your income. Okay, so passive income greater than generosity, expenses, taxes, and savings. Now, I want to give you an example. We're going to whiteboard this out. This is our special segment. This is the Wealth Dynamics Whiteboard sponsored by Jerry Fetta, okay? So whiteboard time. We've got two different people here, right? We've got one guy where he has his time. We're going to represent that with this little clock here, right? And he exchanges this for money, right? And so the time goes over here. He can never get the time back. The money goes over here. He gets the money. And here's the problem. The way that value works, and all of us understand this, when you have a scarce resource, something where there's only a little bit of it, there's only so much of it, right? Usually that's more valuable, isn't it? Okay, so let me ask you, what is more scarce and finite than your time? Think about that. What is more scarce and finite than your time? You can never get your time back. When it's done, it's done. When it's spent. Right? So this thing of engaging in trading time, arguably your most valuable asset for money. Right? Now let me tell you something about money. Money has lost 90% of its value since 1913. Okay? If you were to look at the dollar back then versus the dollar now, right? You lost 90% of it. Why? Because they're increasing the supply of money. Money gets printed every single year. Every time you borrow money from a bank, you are actually contributing to the problem. This is why I don't do banks. This is why I don't do government loans. This is why I don't borrow money into existence, right? It actually makes the problem worse for all of us. When you add money that didn't exist into the supply of money that does exist, you are diluting the value of the money that does exist and causing inflation, right? So for all of those that are trading their time, their most valuable resource for money, you actually had a better deal in the 1900s, like 1913, before this whole inflation thing got out of control. You had a better deal back then. Why? Because the money supply was pretty fixed. The value was pretty stable. Every year you knew what you were getting. But as the currency got less and less valuable, this trade became a worse and worse trade. Your time, as you age, becomes more and more valuable. Why is that? Because you have less of it left. The money, as you age, becomes less and less valuable. It's going down. Why is that? Because inflation. As time goes on, the same dollars yesterday buy less than they do now. Sorry, they buy more than they do now. Yesterday. They buy less now than they did yesterday. Let me rephrase that more clearly for you. So as time goes on, the dollar becomes less and less valuable. So this guy's trading his time for money, and here's the deal. He's stockpiling it. He's like, okay, cool, I'm getting the money. I'm going to put over into my retirement account. I'm going to stack it up, right? I'm going to stack up this thing that loses its value every single year, and I'm just going to save it, and I'm going to build my nest egg. And then one day, I'm going to get enough accumulated here where I feel like I can quit trading time for money, and I can go live on this money that I've stacked up, right? Well, here's the problem. You were stacking up the wrong stuff. You should have been stacking up your time. Not money, your time. My mom passed away at age 60. She stacked up money, she didn't stack up time. How do you stack up time? Let me show you that, okay? So, this guy over here, he has his time, and he trades it for money. Everyone is born into this game. So don't give me this, oh, I'm never going to trade my time for money and I hate it. Dude, we all have it. It's like rush hour traffic. If you live in New York and you think you're special, and you're like, oh, I live in New York, but I don't do traffic. I hate traffic. Everyone hates it, dude. Nobody likes waiting in line at the bank either. Nobody likes going to the DMV. Quit complaining. We all have to deal with it. Everybody has to trade time for money initially. Now, how long you have to do it for, that's completely up to you. And it's if you follow and understand what I'm going to share with you right now. So this guy over here trades his time for money. The money comes in. So far, the same exact thing. There's no difference here, right? But what does he do differently? He takes the money, takes at least 40% of it. Because this guy over here is probably only taking like 3 to maybe 10%. If he's really, really special, maybe he's doing 15. This guy takes 40% of it. He puts it in an asset. He doesn't stockpile it. He doesn't do the nest egg thing. He puts it into an asset. And this asset now trades for money, which pays him here and here. And he does it again, and he does another one. And this next one pays him again. And he continues doing that, and what happens is he has a less and less rate of time for money exchange. The necessity to trade time for money goes down. And he's not putting it off till he's 60. He's doing it now. Right? I want you to think about that. He's doing it now. He's getting freedom of his time back now. He's getting money that shows up in his bank account every single month now that he didn't have to trade his time for. And it frees him up to then say, hey, I can actually have freedom of my time. I've got money and I've got time, both. Right? That's what I'm telling you to do here tonight. The Blueprint to Financial Freedom is a book exactly about that. Right? This is not my stuff, by the way. Like if I was 32 years old and I was like, hey, check this book out, I came up with all of it, you should be very concerned, right? I studied the top 1% of wealth for over a decade, and I found that that's what they're doing. They're not doing the retirement plan. They're not doing the whole nest egg concept. They're not saving their money in banks for a rainy day. They're putting it into income producing assets. Those income producing assets pay them every single month. They buy their time back, and then they go do the things that they're passionate about with their time, and they don't worry about trading time for money anymore. Okay, and fortunately at 32 years old, I've been able to accomplish that already by following what's in this book, right? So if I can do it, and keep in mind, guys, I grew up in Alaska. 62 kids in my graduating class. I was a C average student. Mom and dad got divorced when I was 8 years old. All in that summer, we lost the car, it got repoed. We lost the house, got foreclosed on. Mom and dad got divorced. I'm homeless on both sides of the family. I don't even know what a wealthy person looks like. I had never met a wealthy person until I was in my 20s. It was literally like a unicorn, a mythical creature. I was like, I don't know, is it real? Is that a thing? I thought investing was only for rich people, right? And so I'm telling you, if I can figure it out and I can do it, it's pretty simple. And that's what's in this book. That is why, if you've not read this book, you need to read the book. It starts with the book. And if you're a client of mine, it starts with the book and it ends with the book. It's following what the wealthy did. That's why it's called a blueprint. A blueprint. This is how they built what they built. And it's not pie in the sky, and it's not get rich quick, and it's going to be a lot of work, and it's going to be a lot of investing and doing things that you're not comfortable with, but it's going to get you there. Right? So if you're watching this right now, I want to give you a free copy of the book. Right? You can scan the QR code. You can also go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo. jerryfetta.com/B2F promo. You can grab the book. The book is free. You cover the cost of shipping. We'll cover the book, right? So I want to just leave this up for a second. I also want to open this up to any questions that might be in the comments or in the chat here. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Michael says it's a good book. It tells you something you don't normally learn. That's awesome. Thank you, Michael. Let me see if we've got any questions here on Facebook. Okay, no questions, but thank you guys for tuning in. So if you're watching this and you grab the book, let me know, right? Let me know if you grab the book. I want to hear about it. Let me know. You can send me an email. You can comment. You can let me know on Facebook Messenger, wherever, and say, hey, I grabbed the book. And I want to make sure that if you did get the book, that you also get into our Facebook community, right? Because that's where the rubber hits the road. That's where you're actually going to get support. You're going to get community, like-minded people, motivation, inspiration. That's free. Right? The book is free, the community is free, because again, my mission is to help good people build more wealth who make the world a better place. Right? And that starts with you. Okay, so guys, that's all I have for you this evening. Again, if you didn't scan the QR code, do so. You can go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo. Now, if you are watching this and you're a client of mine or a member of mine, okay, I want to get together with you. Reach out to my team, let them know, say, hey, Jerry told me to email you or text you or message you or whatever and schedule a one-on-one. I want to do as many one-on-ones as I can this summer. I think I did like 20 meetings in the last 2 weeks. It's been crazy, but we've been helping a lot of people because I'm on a mission right now and I want to help as many of you as I can. So if you're a client, you're a member, reach out, let us know, get in communication. If you've got questions, if you need assistance, that's what we're here for. Have a great weekend, guys. Have a great Friday night. I'll see you next week again, 8:30 p.m. Central Time for Finance Friday. Hey, this is Jerry Fetta here. I want to thank you for watching my video, watching my content. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to learn more about the Blueprint to Financial Freedom and how you can achieve passive income that exceeds your savings, your expenses, your taxes, your generosity, and build wealth like the top 1%, I want to encourage you, grab a copy of my book, The Blueprint to Financial Freedom. You can go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo, or you can click the link in the description of the video here. The copy is free. You cover your shipping. We'll send the book out to you, and we'll send you an email with a bunch of great bonus material also for free. Get the book, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on my next content.